The galactic trade station called Horizon's Edge floated in the darkness of space like a city made of light. Ships came and went at all hours. Species from 100 worlds walked its corridors. It was a place where deals were made, wars were prevented, and sometimes lives changed forever. Park Jisoo stood at the docking bay window and watched a Valen transport ship approach. He had read everything he could find about the Valens. They were an old species, powerful and proud. Their technology was advanced, their culture was strict, and most importantly, they did not show emotions. To a Velen, feelings were dangerous things that needed to be controlled and hidden. Jisoo was 32 years old. He had worked as a trade negotiator for 6 years. He was good at his job because he was patient. He listened more than he talked. He noticed small things that others missed. These skills had helped him resolve many difficult situations, but he had never worked with Valens before. The transport ship docked with a soft sound. The doors opened, and Jisoo saw her for the first time. Ambassador Yira walked down the ramp with perfect posture. Her skin was blue-silver and seemed to glow softly from within. She had large dark eyes that reflected the station lights like pools of black water. Her hands had 4 fingers instead of 5. She wore formal robes in deep purple, and her expression showed nothing at all. Behind her came her assistant, a younger Valen male named Kim Do-hyun. He carried data tablets and looked around the station with careful attention. Jisoo stepped forward and bowed slightly. Ambassador Yira, welcome to Horizon's Edge. I am Park Jisoo. I will be your human liaison during the negotiations. Yira looked at him. Her eyes moved over his face, studying him the way someone might study a strange animal. Thank you, Liaison Park. I hope our work together will be productive. Her voice was smooth and cold, like water running over stones. She did not smile. She did not offer her hand. Jisoo had expected this. Valens did not touch casually. They did not waste words on small talk. Everything had purpose. Everything was controlled. I have prepared your quarters, Jisoo said. If you need anything at all, please let me know. I will need nothing, Yira said. We should begin work immediately. And so they did. The negotiations were complex. 2 factions within Valen's space were fighting over territory. The conflict threatened to spread and affect trade routes that many species depended on. The Valen government had asked for human mediators because humans had a reputation for finding solutions that satisfied everyone. Jisoo and Yira worked together in a conference room for long hours each day. They reviewed documents, studied maps, and discussed strategies. Jisoo learned quickly that Yira was intelligent and thorough. She never missed a detail. She never forgot a fact, but she also never laughed at his small jokes. She never asked about his day. She never seemed to relax. One night, after 12 hours of work, Jisoo stood up and stretched his back. Ambassador, would you like some tea? I was going to make some for myself. Yira looked up from her tablet. Her dark eyes showed confusion. Tea? It's a human drink, made from plants. It helps people relax after long work. I do not require relaxation. It's not really about requiring it, Jisoo said with a small smile. It's about enjoying it. Sometimes we do things just because they feel nice. Yira stared at him. Among her people, doing something just because it felt nice was considered wasteful and weak. But something about the way Jisoo smiled made her curious. He was not mocking her. He was simply offering kindness. Very well, she said. I will try this tea. Jisoo prepared 2 cups and brought them to the table. He sat down across from her and wrapped his hands around his cup, enjoying the warmth. Yira copied his action. The heat felt strange against her palms. You hold it like this to warm your hands, Jisoo explained. And you drink it slowly. There's no rush. Yira took a small sip. The taste was bitter and sweet at the same time. She did not particularly like it, but she found that she liked sitting here in the quiet, with the steam rising between them. She liked that Jisoo had thought of her comfort. This was a problem. Over the next few days, Yira noticed more things about Jisoo. She noticed how he greeted the station workers by name. She noticed how he held doors open for people. She noticed how he smiled at everyone, even when he was tired. He touched people on the shoulder when he talked to them. He laughed easily. He gave compliments freely. Valens did none of these things. Physical touch was intimate. Laughter was undignified. Compliments were manipulation. But when Jisoo did these things, they did not seem wrong. They seemed warm. Yira found herself watching him when he was not looking. She found herself listening for his footsteps in the corridor. She found herself thinking about their conversations when she was alone in her quarters at night. One evening, Jisoo was reaching across the table to hand her a document. Their hands brushed against each other. His skin was warm and soft. The touch lasted less than 1 second. Yira's skin flickered violet. She pulled her hand back quickly. Violet was the color of shame among her people. It meant she was feeling something she should not feel. It meant her control was slipping. Jisoo noticed the color change. "Are you all right, Ambassador?" "I am fine," Yira said. Her voice was steady, but her heart was beating fast. "It is nothing. A small reaction to the station's air. Please continue." Jisoo nodded and continued talking about the documents, but Yira was not listening. She was thinking about the warmth of his hand. She was thinking about how her skin had betrayed her. Do-hyun had seen everything. Later that night, he came to her quarters. "Ambassador, I must speak with you about the human." "There is nothing to speak about. Your skin changed color. You felt something." Yira turned away from him and looked out the window at the stars. "I felt nothing. It was a physical reaction, nothing more." But they both knew she was lying. And lying was something Valens never did. Yira stood at the window for a long time after Do-hyun left. She thought about Jisoo's smile. She thought about the way he said her name. She thought about how strange and frightening it was to want something she did not understand. She was an ambassador. She was Valen. She was supposed to be above such things. But when she closed her eyes, she could still feel the warmth of his hand, and her skin, in the privacy of her dark room, glowed violet for a long, long time. 3 weeks passed on Horizon's edge. The negotiations were difficult. The two Valen factions hated each other deeply. They argued about borders, resources, and old wounds that had never healed. Every day brought new problems. Every meeting ended with anger. But Yira barely noticed. She was too busy watching Jisoo. She watched him in meetings, where he spoke calmly even when others raised their voices. She watched him in the corridors, where he stopped to help a lost traveler find their way. She watched him in the cafeteria, where he sat with workers and engineers instead of other diplomats. He was strange. He was confusing. He was completely different from anyone she had ever known. Yira began to study human behavior like it was a subject she needed to master. She read files about human customs. She watched videos about human society. She learned that humans touched each other constantly. They hugged when they were happy. They held hands when they were scared. They cried in front of others without shame. To Yira, this was madness. Among Velans, such behavior would be considered a mental illness. But humans seemed healthy. They seemed happy. They seemed connected to each other in ways that Valens were not. One afternoon, Yira was walking to a meeting when she saw Jisoo talking with a group of station workers. One of them, an older woman, was crying. Her mother had died on a distant planet, and she could not afford to travel home for the funeral. Jisoo put his hand on her shoulder. He spoke softly to her. Then he pulled out his personal tablet and transferred money to her account, enough for a round-trip ticket. The woman hugged him. She hugged him right there in the corridor in front of everyone. And Jisoo hugged her back. Yira stood frozen. She did not understand what she was seeing. The woman was a stranger to Jisoo, a worker, someone far below his status. Why would he give her money? Why would he let her touch him? Later, in the conference room, Yira asked him, "The woman in the corridor, why did you help her?" Jisoo looked up from his work. "Because she was sad, and I could help." "But she is nothing to you. You gained nothing from helping her." Jisoo smiled. It was a gentle smile, a little bit sad. "That's not how it works, Ambassador. When someone is hurting, you help them if you can. That's all." Yira did not understand, but she thought about his words for the rest of the day. She thought about them when she was alone in her quarters that night. She thought about how Jisoo moved through the world with his heart open, giving pieces of himself to everyone he met. It seemed exhausting. It seemed dangerous. It seemed beautiful. Do-hyun watched her with worried eyes. He saw how she looked at the human. He saw how her work was suffering, how her thoughts were always somewhere else. "Ambassador," he said one evening, "I must warn you. Humans are emotionally contagious. Their feelings spread to others like a disease. You must maintain proper distance." "I am maintaining proper distance," Yira said. "You are not. You seek his company even when there is no work purpose. You smile when he enters the room. Your skin changes color when he speaks to you." Yira felt anger rise inside her. Anger was another emotion she was not supposed to feel. "You forget your place, Do-hyun." "I remember my place exactly. My place is to protect you. And right now, you need protection from yourself." He left her alone with his words. Yira knew he was right. She knew she should pull away from Jisoo, rebuild her walls, become Veylan again. But that night, she found herself walking to the observation deck. She did not know why. She just needed to see the stars. Jisoo was already there. He stood at the great window, looking out at the darkness. The light from distant suns touched his face. He looked tired. He looked lonely. "Ambassador," he said, surprised. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I often come here," Yira said. It was a lie. She had never come here before. She did not know why she was lying. Jisoo nodded and turned back to the window. "It helps sometimes. Looking at the stars, it reminds me how big everything is, how small my problems are." "You have problems?" He laughed softly. "Everyone has problems, even diplomats." He paused. "I've been in space for 2 years now. I miss home. I miss my family. I miss walking outside without a suit, feeling real wind on my face." Yira moved to stand beside him. Their reflections appeared in the glass, side by side. "You are lonely," she said. "Sometimes, yes." "I do not remember what loneliness feels like," Yira said. "Veylans are not supposed to feel it." "But you do feel it?" She did not answer. She could not answer, but her silence was answer enough. They stood together in the quiet, two people from different worlds, both of them far from home. Yira felt something she had never felt before. She felt understood. The moment broke when Jisoo's communicator beeped. He looked at it and frowned. "I should go. Early meeting tomorrow." "Of course." He walked toward the door, then stopped. "Ambassador, if you ever want to talk, I'm here, not as your liaison, just as a friend." Friend. The word felt strange. Veylans did not have friends. They had colleagues and family and duty. But Jisoo offered friendship like it was simple, like it cost nothing. "Thank you," Yira said. "I will remember that." He smiled and left. Yira stayed at the window for another hour, watching the stars. She thought about everything Do-hyun had said. She thought about duty and distance and proper behavior. She thought about all the rules she had lived by her entire life. Then she thought about Jisu's smile. The station shook. Alarms screamed to life. Red lights flashed. Yira stumbled and caught herself against the window. Through the glass, she saw fire blooming from the lower levels. An explosion. An attack. She ran toward the conference room where the emergency meetings would be held. The corridors were full of smoke and scared people. She pushed through them, her heart pounding. She found Jisu in the corridor outside the conference room. He saw her at the same moment she saw him. Then the second explosion came. It was closer, louder. The floor jumped beneath them. Yira lost her balance. She was falling. Jisu caught her. He pulled her against him and covered her body with his own as debris rained down around them. His arms wrapped around her, tight and protective. She felt his chest against her back. She felt his heart beating fast and strong. The noise stopped. The shaking stopped. But Jisu did not let go. Not right away. "Are you hurt?" he asked. His voice was close to her ear. Yira could not speak. She could feel his heartbeat. She could feel his warmth. She could feel every place where his body touched hers. Her skin was glowing. She knew it was glowing. She could not stop it. "Ambassador? Yira?" He used her name, her real name, not her title. "I am not hurt," she said. Her voice was shaking. He released her slowly. His hands stayed on her shoulders for a moment, making sure she was steady. Then he stepped back. "We should get to the meeting," he said. "Yes, we should." They walked together down the damaged corridor. Yira's legs felt weak. Her mind was chaos. Her skin was still glowing violet, and she could not make it stop. She had felt his heartbeat. She had felt his arms around her. She had felt safe. And she knew with terrible certainty that nothing would ever be the same. The explosion had been a bomb, planted by extremists who wanted the peace talks to fail. 7 people were injured. 2 were dead. The station was damaged but still working. Jisu was one of the injured. He had taken a piece of metal to his side when he shielded Yira. The wound was not deep enough to be dangerous, but it was deep enough to require rest. The doctors put him in the medical bay and told him to stay there for 3 days. Yira told herself she would not visit him. She visited him the next morning. She stood in the doorway of his room and looked at him. He was lying in the bed, connected to machines that monitored his body. His face was pale. He looked smaller somehow, weaker. Human bodies were so fragile, they broke so easily. "Ambassador," Jisu said. He smiled when he saw her. Even injured, even tired, he smiled. "This is a nice surprise." "I came to check on your condition," Yira said. She kept her voice formal. "The negotiations cannot continue without you." "I'm fine. I'll be back to work soon." Yira stepped into the room. She was holding something in her hands. A small crystal, dark blue, glowing softly from within. "This is for you," she said. She placed it on the table beside his bed. "It is a Velan healing crystal. It will help your body repair itself faster." Jisu looked at the crystal. Then he looked at her. His eyes were warm. "Thank you. That's very kind." Yira felt her skin start to change color. She looked away quickly. "It is nothing. A small thing." But it was not a small thing. Among Valens, healing crystals were given only to family members or bonded partners. They were intimate gifts. They meant something deep. Yira had given one to a human she had known for less than a month. She did not want to think about what that meant. "Will you stay for a while?" Jisu asked. "I'm not very good at resting. I could use some company." Yira should have said no. She should have left and returned to her duties. Instead, she sat down in the chair beside his bed. "For a while," she said. They talked. They talked about the attack and the investigation and the difficult work ahead. But then they talked about other things. Jisoo told her about his home on Earth, a city called Busan near the ocean. He told her about his mother, who cooked too much food whenever he visited. He told her about his younger sister, who sent him funny videos every week to make him laugh. "What about you?" he asked. "Tell me about your home." Yira hesitated. Valens did not share personal stories, but Jisoo had shared his. It seemed wrong not to share hers. "I grew up in a city called Velar Prime," she said. "It is the capital of our world, very old, very beautiful. The buildings are made of crystal that sings when the wind blows." "That sounds amazing." "It is, but it is also very quiet, very controlled. People do not speak loudly. They do not laugh in public. They do not run or dance or sing. Do you miss it?" Yira thought about the question. "I miss the crystal buildings. I miss the sound of the wind. But I do not miss the silence. I do not miss the control." She had never said these words to anyone. She had barely admitted them to herself. But sitting here with Jisoo in the quiet of the medical bay, the truth came out easily. "I think," she said slowly, "that my people have lost something. We removed our emotions because we thought they made us weak. But I am beginning to think they made us strong." Jisoo nodded. "Emotions are hard. They hurt sometimes. But they also connect us to each other. Without them, what's the point?" Yira looked at him, really looked at him, this human with his fragile body and his open heart. He had thrown himself in front of an explosion to protect her. He had given money to a crying stranger. He smiled at everyone. He gave away pieces of himself every day, and somehow he was not empty. Somehow he was full. "I do not understand you," Yira said. "I do not understand how you can feel so much and still function. I do not understand how you can give so much and still have more to give." Jisoo reached out and touched her hand. Just a gentle touch, his fingers resting on hers. "Maybe that's the secret," he said. "The more you give, the more you have." Yira's skin turned violet. She should have pulled away. She did not pull away. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Jisoo's eyes closed. The medicine was making him tired. Yira watched him sleep. She watched the rise and fall of his chest. She watched his face, peaceful and unguarded. She stayed until the nurses made her leave. That night, Yira could not eat. Her hands trembled when she tried to hold her tablet. Her skin would not settle on one color. It shifted from blue to silver to violet and back again, over and over, like a storm she could not control. Do-Yun brought her to the station's medical bay. The Valen doctor examined her and made a diagnosis. "Velkara," the doctor said. "Emotional emergence." Yira felt cold. Velkara was a condition that happened when a Valen's suppressed emotions broke through their control. It was rare and dangerous. If not treated, it could cause permanent damage. It could even kill. "The treatment is emotional purging," the doctor said. "We remove the feelings that are causing the emergence. You will feel nothing again. You will be safe." "And if I refuse the treatment?" The doctor looked at her with worried eyes. "Then you must find another way to process what you are feeling. You must express it, release it. If you hold it inside, it will destroy you." Yira returned to her quarters. She stood at the window and looked at the stars. She thought about the treatment. She thought about having her feelings removed, becoming empty and controlled again. She thought about never feeling Jisoo's hand on hers again. The next morning, a message came from Valar Prime. The government was recalling her. They had heard about her condition. They were concerned about her contamination by human influence. A ship would arrive in 2 days to take her home. Yira read the message 3 times. Then she put down her tablet and walked to the window. She had 2 days left on this station. 2 days before she would be taken home and treated and made Valen again. 2 days to decide what she really wanted. She looked at her reflection in the glass. Her skin was glowing violet, bright and uncontrolled, the color of shame, the color of feeling things she was not supposed to feel. But maybe, she thought, it was also the color of being alive. She had one night left with Jisoo, one night to tell him the truth, or stay silent forever. Yira closed her eyes. Her heart was beating fast. Her skin was glowing. She had never been so afraid. She had never been so alive. The night was quiet on Horizon's edge. Most of the station was sleeping. The corridors were empty and dim. Yira stood outside Jisoo's quarters. She had been standing there for 10 minutes, trying to make herself press the door signal. Her hands were shaking. Her skin was cycling through colors so fast that she looked like a broken light. She should not be here. She should be in her quarters, packing her things, preparing to go home. She should be planning what she would say to her government, how she would explain her failure, how she would accept her treatment and return to being a proper villain. Instead, she was here, outside his door, in the middle of the night. She pressed the signal. A moment later, the door opened. Jisoo stood there in simple clothes, his hair messy from sleep. His wound was healing well. He looked tired but healthy. He looked surprised. "Ambassador, is everything all right?" "I need to speak with you," Yira said. "May I come in?" He stepped aside and let her enter. His quarters were small and warm. There were pictures on the walls of places on Earth. There was a blanket on the couch that looked soft and old. There were books made of real paper which Yira had never seen before. "Please sit down," Jisoo said. "Can I get you some tea?" "No, thank you. I will not be long." But she did not sit down. She stood in the middle of his room, her hands clasped in front of her, her skin still flickering violet. She had planned what she would say. She had practiced it in her mind 100 times. But now that she was here, the words would not come. Jisoo waited. He did not rush her. He did not ask questions. He just stood there, patient and kind, giving her time. "I am leaving tomorrow," Yira said finally. "My government is recalling me." "I heard." "I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do?" "No. There is nothing anyone can do." She paused. "They believe I have been contaminated by human influence. They believe my emotions are out of control. They are correct." Jisoo took a step toward her. "Yira, please, let me finish. I need to say this." He stopped. He nodded. Yira took a deep breath. Her heart was beating so hard she thought it might break through her chest. Her skin was glowing brighter. She could not control it. She did not try. "When I came to this station," she said, "I knew what humans were. I had read the files. Emotional, irrational, primitive. I expected to find you confusing and strange. I did not expect to find you beautiful." Jisoo's eyes widened slightly. He did not speak. "You smile at everyone," Yira continued. Her voice was shaking now. "You give money to strangers. You hold doors open. You remember people's names. You threw yourself in front of an explosion to protect me. You gave me tea." Her voice broke on the last word. "You gave me tea because you thought I might enjoy it. No one has ever done something for me just because I might enjoy it." She was crying. She realized it with shock. Valens did not cry, but tears were falling from her eyes, running down her glowing face, and she could not stop them. "I do not understand you," she said. "I do not understand how you can feel so much and not break apart. I do not understand how you can care about everyone and still have room left over. I do not understand how you can look at me, a cold alien who cannot even smile, and still be kind." She pressed her hands against her face, trying to stop the tears. Her whole body was shaking. Her skin was blazing violet so bright that it filled the room with purple light. "But I want to understand," she whispered. "I want to know what you are thinking. I want to know what makes you laugh." I want to know what you dream about, and what you are afraid of, and what you want from your life. I want your time and your attention and your care. I want you to keep looking at me the way you do. I want—" She stopped. The words were stuck in her throat. "What do you want?" Jisoo asked softly. Yira looked at him through her tears. "I want you," she said. "I desire you, not just your body. All of you. Everything you are. In my culture, this kind of want is considered a sickness. It is treated and removed so that we can function properly again." She was sobbing now. She could not stop. All the emotions she had suppressed her entire life were pouring out of her like water from a broken dam. It hurt. It was terrifying. It was also somehow a relief. "Then I am sick," she said, "and I do not want to be cured." The room was silent, except for her crying. Yira waited for Jisoo to speak. She waited for him to tell her she was being inappropriate. She waited for him to call security, or contact her government, or ask her to leave. Instead, he crossed the room. He took her hands in his, her four-fingered hands, glowing violet, trembling, wet with tears. He held them gently, like they were something precious. "In my culture," he said, "we have a word for what you are describing." Yira looked up at him. His eyes were warm. They were shining. He was smiling, but it was not his usual smile. This smile was something deeper, something private, something just for her. "We call it love," he said. Yira stared at him. Love. She knew the word. She had read about it in human files, but she had never understood it. She had thought it was just another word for desire, for want, for need. But looking at Jisoo now, holding his hands, feeling his warmth, she began to understand. Love was not just wanting someone. Love was wanting to give to them. Love was caring about their happiness more than your own. Love was holding someone's hands when they were crying in the middle of the night, not because you had to, but because you could not bear to see them suffer. "I do not know how to love," Yira said. "I was never taught." "That's okay," Jisoo said. "I can teach you." He lifted one of her hands and pressed it against his chest, over his heart. She could feel it beating, strong and steady. This human heart that felt so much and still kept beating. "Stay," he said. "Don't go back to them. Stay here with me." "If I stay?" "They will remove me from my position. I will have no status, no power, nothing." "You'll have me." Yira looked into his eyes. She thought about her government, her duty, her people. She thought about the treatment that would take away her feelings and make her empty again. She thought about all the rules she had lived by, all the walls she had built, all the years she had spent being cold and controlled and alone. Then she thought about Jisoo's smile, his kindness, his warmth, the way he held her hands like they were precious. "I will stay," she said. Jisoo pulled her close. He wrapped his arms around her and held her tight. Yira buried her face against his shoulder. She was still crying. She was still shaking. But she was also, for the first time in her life, exactly where she wanted to be. They stood there for a long time, holding each other in the purple light of her glowing skin. Tomorrow there would be problems. Her government would be angry. There would be consequences and complications and difficult choices. But tonight, there was only this. His arms around her, his heart against hers, his voice in her ear soft and steady. "I've got you," he said. "I've got you." And her skin slowly began to glow gold. The recall ship arrived the next morning. Yira was not on it. Instead, she stood in the station commander's office and sent a message to her government. She spoke clearly and calmly. She told them she was refusing the recall order. She told them she was resigning from her position as ambassador. She told them she would not be returning to Velar Prime. She did not tell them about Jisoo. She did not need to. They already knew. The response came within hours. The Valen government was furious. They called her a traitor. They called her contaminated. They threatened to withdraw from the peace talks entirely if she was not removed from the station. The station commander looked at Yira with worried eyes. "Ambassador, if you don't go back, we could lose everything we've worked for. The whole negotiation could collapse." "I am aware," Yira said. "And you're still refusing?" Yira thought about the treatment that waited for her on Valar Prime. She thought about having her feelings removed, becoming cold and empty again. She thought about never seeing Jisoo smile. "I am still refusing," she said. The days that followed were chaos. Messages flew back and forth between the station and Valar Prime. The two factions that were supposed to be negotiating peace started arguing about Yira instead. Some said she should be forced to return. Others said she had the right to make her own choice. The talk stalled completely. Through it all, Jisoo stayed by her side. He attended every meeting with her. He spoke to every official who would listen. He argued that Yira's choice was personal, not political. He argued that forcing her to return would be a violation of her rights. Some people listened. Many did not. One night, Yira found him alone in the conference room, surrounded by documents. He looked exhausted. He had been fighting for her for days, and it was wearing him down. "You should rest," she said. "I'll rest when this is over." "Jisoo." She sat down beside him. "You do not have to do this. You do not have to fight so hard for me." He looked at her. His eyes were tired but determined. "Yes, I do." "Why?" "I am just one person. The peace talks are more important." Jisoo took her hand. "You are not just one person. You are the person I love, and if I let them take you away, if I let them hurt you because it's politically convenient, then what kind of person am I? What kind of species are we?" Yira felt her eyes fill with tears. "The Valens will say you are being emotional, irrational." "Then let them say it. I'd rather be emotional and irrational than cold and cruel." Something changed after that conversation. Yira began to speak up in meetings. She talked about what had happened to her. She talked about Velkara and emotional emergence and the treatment that would remove her feelings. She talked about how she had been taught her whole life that emotions were weakness and how she had learned from humans that emotions were strength. She talked about Jisoo, how he had shown her kindness without wanting anything in return, how he had made her feel seen for the first time in her life, how loving him had not made her weak, it had made her brave. The younger Valen diplomats listened. Some of them had wondered the same things she had wondered. Some of them had felt the same emptiness she had felt. Her words made them think. Do-hyun was one of them. He came to Yira's quarters one evening looking troubled. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I told you to stay away from the human. I said he would contaminate you. I was wrong." Yira looked at him with surprise. "You were following our teachings. Our teachings are wrong." Do-hyun straightened his shoulders. "I have decided to resign from the Valan delegation. I wish to serve as your aide instead. If you will have me." Yira felt something warm in her chest. Hope. "I will have you." "Thank you, Do-hyun." The peace talks resumed. This time something was different. Yira was different. She spoke with emotion now. She let her skin change colors when she felt strongly about something. She listened to the factions not just with her mind, but with her heart. And slowly, things began to change. The faction leaders saw something in Yira that they had never seen in a Valan before. They saw passion. They saw empathy. They saw someone who truly cared about finding a solution, not just completing a duty. They began to trust her. The peace agreement was signed 1 month later. Jisoo was there when it happened. He stood at the back of the room and watched Yira put her mark on the document. Her skin was glowing steady blue, the color of peace and calm. She looked strong. She looked confident. She looked happy. She looked at him across the room and smiled. 6 months later, Yira and Jisoo lived together in quarters on Horizon's edge. Their home was a mix of both their cultures. Valen crystals sat beside human books. The walls held pictures of Busan and Valar Prime. There was always tea. Yira was learning to cook human food. She was not good at it. Last week, she had burned rice so badly that the smoke alarms went off. Jisoo had laughed until he cried. Then he had ordered food from the station cafeteria and kissed her forehead and told her they would try again tomorrow. Jisoo was learning Valen meditation. He was also not good at it. He could not sit still for more than 10 minutes. His mind wandered constantly. Yira would open her eyes to find him making faces at her, trying to make her laugh. It always worked. They were both learning. They were both trying. They were both happy. One day, a new Valen delegation arrived at the station. They were young diplomats, sent to study the peace agreement and learn from its success. They asked to meet with Yira. She welcomed them to her quarters. She served them tea. She answered their questions about the negotiations, about the factions, about the agreement. Then one of them, a young female with curious eyes, asked the question they all wanted to ask. "Ambassador Yira," she said, "do you regret your choice? Do you regret leaving our people for a human?" Yira looked across the room. Jisoo was there, arguing with the coffee machine again. He was losing. He was also laughing at himself, which made him lose even more. Yira turned back to the young diplomat. "Every species in this galaxy travels light years to find new worlds," she said. "We build ships and cross the darkness and search for something we have never seen before. We call it exploration. We call it courage. We call it the greatest thing our species can do." She paused. Her skin was glowing. Not violet, not blue. Gold. "I traveled a few feet across a room and found a new world," she said. "I found kindness. I found warmth. I found someone who taught me that feelings are not weakness. They are what make us alive." She looked at Jisoo again. He had finally gotten his coffee. He caught her eye and raised his cup in a small toast. She smiled. "No," she said to the young diplomat. "I do not regret my choice. It was the bravest thing I have ever done." That night, after the delegation left, Yira and Jisoo stood at the window of their quarters and looked at the stars. His arm was around her. Her head was on his shoulder. They did not speak. They did not need to. Yira's skin glowed steady gold, the color of joy, the color of love, the color of home.